Have you ever noticed how some older men walk into a room and, without speaking, the entire atmosphere changes? They are not chasing attention, they are not putting on a performance, yet younger women often feel drawn toward them. It is not just money, status, or looks. It is something deeper. It is the way they move, the way they let a glance linger, the way they create tension without appearing to try. There is a calmness, as if time itself is working with them rather than against them. Younger men often rush to impress. They flex, they talk too much, they fill the silence with jokes or constant chatter. The older man who has mastered himself does not need any of that. His stillness is enough to spark curiosity. He does not chase, he does not push. He simply gives space for her to wonder who he really is. That quiet intrigue draws her in more than any memorized line ever could. This is not about tricks or empty routines. It is about the psychology of attraction, the natural response to composure and grounded confidence. It has roots in experience, shaped by time, and often refined by a mindset that values restraint and inner control. What we are exploring are 7 subtle ways older men engage that not only spark attraction, but create lasting desire. Understand them, and you will never see flirting in the same light again. Here is the truth that many men avoid in flirting. Younger men often sabotage themselves. They confuse noise with confidence, endless humor with charm, and overdone compliments with genuine interest. Too many women, this feels needy, like a man seeking approval. The moment she senses that, her interest fades. Desire does not come from proving worth. It comes from a man who already knows his worth. Older men approach this differently. They do not fight for the spotlight, nor do they rush to speak. They let silence carry weight. They understand that a pause before answering can be more magnetic than words spilling out too quickly. They know that steady eye contact, calm and unbroken, speaks louder than rehearsed phrases. They still flirt, but it is refined, understated, and deeply grounded. That quiet edge feels dangerous, and women are drawn to it. Picture it this way. A young man is like a firework, bright, loud, but gone in an instant. An older man is like a fireplace, steady, warm, and captivating. People gather around it, not for the spectacle, but for the lasting comfort and presence. Too many men chase the flash, while women often long for the fire that endures. Here is the hard truth. If you never learn this shift, you risk being remembered as the man who tried too hard, a passing noise rather than the presence she keeps thinking about. So the real question is this: what are those quiet, powerful habits older men use that make women lean closer instead of stepping away? That is what we are about to uncover. Flirting trick 1. The power of presence. The first and most overlooked way older men flirt is not through clever words, but through how they show up. Presence is rare today. Many men cannot sit across from a woman without shifting in their seat, glancing at their phone, or rushing to fill silence with empty talk. An older man knows better. He understands that real attention is not about noise or performance. It is about being fully there. When he speaks, his words are measured. When she speaks, he listens with ease, not with desperation. His calm energy communicates, "I am not here out of need, I am here out of choice." Research in psychology confirms this. Attraction is shaped less by how much attention a man gives, and more by how he gives it. A patient listener who holds steady eye contact creates both safety and fascination. The paradox is clear. The calmer he remains, the more intensity she feels. Younger men often mistake excitement for attraction. True attraction, however, grows out of composed restraint. Here lies the secret. Presence cannot be faked. A man can spend freely, he can memorize lines, but if his energy is restless, she notices it instantly. If instead he is centered, if he carries himself with quiet assurance and no need to prove anything, she senses that before she even thinks about it. This is why an older man can sit quietly and still become the most magnetic person in the room. Presence is never passive. It is not about silence for its own sake. It is about being anchored, about making stillness feel alive. In a world where most men are shouting for attention, the one who does not need to raise his voice becomes unforgettable. This is why the first flirting trick has little to do with words. It is about the gravity you create in their absence. Flirting trick 2. The subtle tease of contrast. Here is something many younger men never realize. Attraction does not live in constant approval, it thrives in contrast. A younger man often pours out compliments, tries to prove his worth with endless words, and floods the moment with effort. An older man approaches differently. He knows the value of rhythm. He offers a spark of warmth, then eases back into composure. It is not manipulation, it is flow, like music that captivates, not by constant noise, but by pauses and spacing that keep the listener engaged. Psychologists describe this as the intermittent reinforcement effect. When attention is given in unexpected moments, it becomes more compelling. Casinos thrive on this principle, and in a more human way, so do relationships. A woman does not long for validation that never ends. She is drawn to the man who allows her to wonder, who gives a playful remark, a slow smile, or a glance that lingers just enough and then shifts back into calmness. Picture this. She tosses out a teasing comment, expecting you to rush in like most men. Instead, you pause. A grin spreads slowly across your face before you answer in a way that both acknowledges her and lightly challenges her. That moment stays with her because it is not predictable, it is not needy, it is deliberate. Here is the deeper truth. The tease only works if you are at peace with her, not responding the way you hope. Younger men often cannot stand that uncertainty. Fear of rejection makes them smother every silence with approval. The older man has learned that attraction is not destroyed when you resist bending to her. It is often sparked by it. He is unafraid of letting silence hang. He accepts the risk that she may not follow the rhythm, and that very risk is what makes the exchange unforgettable. Flirting trick 3. The power of slowed down presence. One of the most magnetic qualities of an older man is how he carries time itself. A younger man often rushes. He speaks quickly, shifts in his seat, glances at his phone, and tries to erase silence with constant noise. An older man has learned something different. When you slow down, you shape the entire atmosphere. You set the rhythm, and she unconsciously begins to follow your pace. Psychology supports this. Research on communication shows that measured speech and deliberate pauses signal confidence and authority. Compare the nervous intern who pours out words without stopping to the experienced leader who waits, lets silence breathe, and then delivers a single statement that carries weight. One fades from memory, the other holds the room. Attraction follows the same law. Imagine her speaking quickly, her energy bubbling, her words testing you. Instead of matching her pace like most younger men would, you lean back, hold her gaze, and answer with calm intention. The shift happens almost instantly. She slows down. She starts mirroring your rhythm. Without realizing it, She is adjusting to your frame instead of pulling you into hers. That is more than flirting. That is quiet leadership. Here is the hidden truth. Women often connect speed with insecurity. When you rush, you reveal a need to keep up, a fear of losing ground. When you slow down, you show that you are anchored with nothing to chase and nothing to prove. You are the mountain, not the leaf carried by the wind. Mountains do not rush, they wait, and others rise to meet them. This is why the slowed-down presence of an older man feels so captivating. It is not just his words, but the way he bends time around them. Flirting trick 4. The subtle tease of withholding validation. Younger men often fall into the trap of giving too much. They hand out compliments non-stop, laugh at everything she says, and pour attention without pause. At first, it may flatter her, but soon it becomes predictable, even hollow. An older man understands something different. True attraction is not created by constant praise, but by tension. And that tension comes from holding back just enough to keep her wondering. Picture this. She tosses a playful jab, expecting you to respond like every other man, eager to reassure her, eager to impress. Instead, you give a slight smirk. You let the silence stretch, maybe tilt your head as if weighing her words. Then you answer with a short, steady remark that challenges her just a little, perhaps something like, "That's all you've got." That moment lingers, not because you rewarded her, but because you did not rush to give her what she expected. The psychology behind this is rooted in scarcity. We place higher value on what is not easy to obtain, on what cannot be taken for granted. When a man offers endless validation, she knows exactly where she stands, and the mystery fades. When a man makes her earn those rare flashes of approval, the energy shifts. She leans in, seeking the recognition he gives sparingly. Here is the deeper layer. This is not about being cold or manipulative. It is about a man who values himself does not scatter his attention everywhere. He knows his energy has worth, so he gives it with intention. Women feel that difference immediately. It does not read as arrogance. It feels like selectiveness, discipline, and control. It is the contrast between fast food and a rare vintage wine. One is everywhere, consumed without thought. The other is savored when the moment arrives. Flirting trick 5. The power of controlled silence. Most men are uncomfortable with silence. They hurry to cover it with jokes, explanations, or chatter, afraid that if the conversation pauses, her interest will fade. What many younger women notice about older men is the opposite. They can sit in silence without fear. When used with confidence, silence is not emptiness. It is present. It becomes a quiet form of power. Imagine this. You are sitting across from her, and she asks a question, perhaps playful or slightly challenging. Instead of rushing to answer, you pause. You hold her eyes and let the moment stretch just beyond what she expects. That space unsettles her at first, but it also intrigues her. She realizes you are not performing. You are not chasing approval with endless words. You are comfortable enough to let her feel the gravity of your stillness. Psychologists describe this as It is one of the clearest signals of confidence and inner strength. A man who does not fear silence shows he is not desperate to please, not worried about judgment, and not chasing validation. Younger women find this powerful because so many men they encounter are restless, constantly talking, constantly selling themselves. The one who can sit calmly, without breaking the silence, feels steady, like a rock in the middle of turbulence. Here is the deeper layer. Controlled silence is not a void. It communicates more than words. It says, I am not rushing, I am not proving, I am here, and you may step closer if you choose. That kind of energy creates pull. She begins to lean in. She fills the spaces. She reveals more because you did not force it. In those moments, silence stops being something to fear. It becomes the strongest ally you have. Flirting trick 6. The magnetic force of playful unpredictability. There is a truth many men overlook. Routine can dull attraction. When a woman knows exactly how you will respond, what you will say, and what you will do, she may feel secure, but she will not feel stirred. Younger women in particular are sensitive to this. Surrounded by constant stimulation and men following predictable scripts, they crave something different. Older men who understand the art of flirting know how to offer that difference through small, playful touches of unpredictability. This does not mean being erratic or childish. It means bending expectations with confidence. Imagine she expects the usual compliment about her outfit. Instead, you pause, let a smile curl at the edge of your lips, and say, "That's dangerous." You do not explain. You let the moment breathe, and the mystery does the work. Or she teases you, expecting you to defend yourself. Rather than rushing in, you laugh lightly, lean back, and say, "You'll need more than that." In an instant, the script is broken. She is slightly off balance, but in a way that excites her. The psychology behind this is clear. Unpredictability keeps the mind alert, sparking dopamine and deepening engagement. When she cannot fully anticipate your next move, she becomes more present, more tuned in. Research in evolutionary psychology shows that the anticipation of reward can be as powerful as the reward itself. That is why unpredictability feels electric, alive, and compelling. The secret, however, is in how it is delivered. Unpredictability only works when grounded in calm confidence. If it comes from insecurity, it reads as chaos. If it comes from composure, it feels like intrigue. That is the difference between being dismissed as immature and being remembered as magnetic. Once you master this balance, you no longer fit into her script. You become the unexpected turn in her story, the twist that keeps her attention locked on you. Flirting trick 7. The stoic depth that makes you unforgettable. Attraction may begin with charm, laughter, or surface energy, but what binds a younger woman's attention is depth. She may be surrounded by men who text quickly, tell jokes, or take her out for entertainment, yet very few offer something more profound. This is where the older man distinguishes himself. His flirting does not stay at the surface. He carries stillness, a grounded presence that makes her curious. She begins to wonder, who is this man really? Imagine her laughing, teasing, and playing the usual games. In the middle of it, you look at her, not with need or hunger, but with calm steadiness. You ask a question that cuts through the noise. Perhaps, what do you really want out of this? Or, when was the last time you felt free? You do not push or explain. You let the silence hold the weight of the question. That moment lingers in her mind because she realizes she is not with another man fighting for her approval. She is face to face with someone who can touch her soul. The psychology is clear. Women do not crave endless entertainment. They crave emotional intensity, a sense of being awakened. When light playfulness is combined with moments of stoic depth, attraction shifts into something lasting. Younger women are not drawn to older men only for stability or status. They are drawn to the mystery of someone who carries both storms and serenity inside him. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Your trials, your scars, and your silence are not weaknesses. They are part of your strength. They allow you to flirt in ways that no young man, however energetic, can imitate. Not because you are trying harder, but because you have lived deeper. That depth is what she remembers. The truth is simple. Younger women are not captivated by money, cars, or status. Those things fade quickly. What endures is the presence of a man who has walked through fire and emerged calmer, sharper, and unshaken. The 7 strategies we explored are not tricks at all. They are natural expressions of a man who has moved beyond seeking approval. Women do not want only excitement. They want to feel desired, grounded, and challenged all at once. And here is the final lesson. None of this can be faked. You cannot project calm if you are restless inside. You cannot tease playfully if you carry bitterness. You cannot create depth if you have never faced yourself honestly. The real work is not memorizing lines. It is building yourself into the man who embodies these qualities from within. When that happens, the flirting flows on its own, without effort, without performance. It becomes who you are. So, if you are listening to this and something clicked, do not just nod, reflect, because real change begins with honest questions. Ask yourself, where am I still playing like a boy when I should be standing as a man? Make that change. The instant you shift your inner stance, others will notice. Younger women, older women, it does not matter. Attraction bends toward gravity, and the most irresistible men carry gravity in their step. If you want a deeper roadmap for sharpening that edge, escaping neediness, and becoming the kind of man who leaves an imprint, subscribe and stay tuned. This channel strips away noise and focuses on habits that build presence. Leave a comment naming which of these 7 moves hit you hardest and which one you pledge to practice first. Honest feedback shapes real growth. Remember, you do not win by chasing, you win by becoming. When you become the man who holds calm confidence, playful strength, and quiet stoic depth, she will not just notice you, she will not be able to forget you. That is the quiet victory that outlasts any brief attraction and stays with you.